became super smart, and they take Cortex's brain out at one point. Oh, there's also the joke with like Crash uses like Cortex as like a ski. And the whole joke is they're chasing after something, and Cortex is like, how will we ever catch them? It's like, I don't have any way of getting there. And he just kind of ponders on his leaning on this railing, and then Crash just stares at his ass for like 20 minutes and then kicks him off and uses him as a sled. But then what's great is they repeat this joke later in the game, and it's the exact, that's where the famous like my daughter niece joke comes from. Hey guys, I'm Bill, a one-time Instagram blogger and now a podcaster.
And I'm Alex, the chaotic neutral.
And together we are the Gaming and Collecting Podcast.
A brother-sister duo.
That talks about gaming.
And also anime.
And don't forget the collecting, sometimes.
Ah, forget it. We're just a nostalgia podcast at this point.
But anyways, guys, thanks for joining us as we discuss the games that shaped us. So, how you been?
On this episode, I will not make any of that stupid voice because you've all ruined it. So go away.
All right, macho woman.
No! I do not sound like that.
All right, anyways, how you been?
No! You take it back. I don't sound like that. Take it back right now.
So how you been?
Take it.
You're trying so hard not to do it.
I'm not doing it for this whole episode. It's not gonna happen.
Jesus.
I'm dying.
That doesn't sound
because you all
good.
keep saying that I sound like that. I'm dying.
Anyways, how's your week been?
It was great until everyone kept calling me fucking Macho Man.
We'll stop doing the voice then.
I'm not doing it. I'm just doing my weird voice. It doesn't sound like that.
Anyways, so if you're not gonna say how your week's been, I will.
It's been it's only Tuesday, so I can't really judge. But some of my curtains came in. I'm replacing my curtains upstairs, but I'm waiting for the rest of them to come in so I can install them. And I need the curtain rod. So.
I thought you were gonna say I'm waiting for you to move out.
Well, that too. You're evicted. Get out.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I'm leaving on the 30th because I'm getting my.
You still have to feed the lizard that week I'm away.
Yeah.
And you have to spend time with her.
Don't push your luck.
No, you gotta, or she'll get lonely.
No, she won't. She'll hide under your bed for the entire time, like she always does.
No.
Yeah. This week's only Tuesday, and it already feels like it's been like a month.
Yeah, it is only Tuesday, and tomorrow I had to stay late yesterday at work, and then tomorrow I have to stay late again. At least it's not working, and I get free food, but still, like, you have to stay late again. And then Thursday's nothing, so, and then Friday I'm taking it off, so, woo.
Oh yeah, you're going to wedding.
Yeah,
just wedding.
One of my dear friends is getting married on Saturday, so we have all kind of the pre-wedding stuff on Friday, which should be very fun. I'm so happy for her. So it should be a good weekend. But I'm tired. I just want this week to be. I just want it to, be the fun stuff.
Yeah.
But,
I just want this month to be over because I'm closing on the 30th.
Yep, your stinky house.
Yeah, it's really ironic the episode like that we did like the Chainsaw Man anime swap we did. I mentioned that house that was gross, and it ended up being the one.
Shit.
Well, I mean, nothing we said was wrong. It just we got a good deal on it, so it's it's going to be a lot of work, and finding a house these days, not easy.
Well, it's just tough because everyone. Well, it's also because you're looking at condos, which condos are even harder.
Yeah, that is true.
True, that is.
Yeah. Other than that, though, I've been playing a lot of games
Potato,
lately.
potato. You
So,
have?
yeah,
Oh my god!
I've actually been playing games.
Caleb, the gaming and collecting podcast plays video games.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I played the Final Fantasy 16 demo. That was really good.
Nice.
That comes out to date when this was recorded. That comes out Thursday. Yay! So can't wait for that. I recently jumped back into the Mass Effect trilogy because I've been playing the Legendary Collection, and it is really good. I forgot how addicting those games actually were to start. Other than that, though, I've mostly just been relaxing, catching up on stuff. Just want the week to be over.
Yeah, I know. I've been. Oh, you might hear my AC unit going off. I've been catching up on a lot of anime.
And rewatching a lot of anime.
Yeah, I kind of forgot. Well, recently I did a One Piece binge, and then we watched the Black Clover movie. Oh shit. We didn't talk about that yet. Shit. JK, we didn't watch. I just felt like watching Black Clover. Whoops.
It's not the first time you spoiled shit.
Yeah, I can't help it. But anyways, I've been watching a little bit Black Clover, but before that, I don't feel like I mentioned this, but I finally caught up with JoJo's. I finally watched Jolene's part, which was really good. Really, really good. I really enjoyed that part. And what else? What else did I watch? I felt like I watched a bunch of other stuff, but maybe I already mentioned it. I caught up with Bob Psycho. I know I did that one. Doctor Stone. I feel like I already talked about catching up with Doctor Stone. I watched all the Trigons. I watched a lot of shit recently, and there's still more that I need to watch. My next big series, after I kind of get over this Black Clover binge, I think I'm finally gonna dive into watching original Dragon Ball. Well, Dragon Ball Z. Not Dragon Ball yet. I'm going reverse order.
Yeah, I mean, Dragon Ball is the better show, but it is very slow.
Yeah, so that's why I'm gonna watch Dragon Ball Z. That's my next plan. I rewatched Doro Hidoro, and it just made me really sad that it just got mappaed, where Mappa got too busy with all these other shows and they didn't do another season.
Well, I mean, they got to stretch out Attack on Titan as long as they can.
No, I get it. I get why, but I was really sad. I really enjoyed that show. I know it's not for everyone because it does use some of like the 3D animation style, but I really enjoyed that series and I wanted more of it. So I'm gonna pick up the manga. The manga's complete, so that'll be like my next big manga collection. Is I think I'll just save up some money and then just buy it as the whole set. So, but I really enjoyed that series. So I was really sad it didn't get another season.
Yep. But yeah, so.
Oh, I also got Jujutsu Kaisen spoilers, and like I'm not gonna say them to you because I don't want to spoil anything to you. But I was like, shit, like it really is gonna like what your perspective of your what with everything that's happened in the show. So, it I was like, what? Because I saw it, someone posted it like on Twitter as a meme, but then like I looked and I was like, wait, what? So,
Yeah.
get ready for that, Bill. Just tells me I need to catch up with the Jujutsu Kaisen manga too.
Whenever you get around to actually reading Spy Family, you're gonna have the same reaction on a lot of things. So.
God fucking damn it! Oh no, was that the voice or was that just me saying? Now I don't know when I do it.
Well, anyways, let's move on to our topics. So.
No.
Oh, you just did it.
No, I didn't. It was just me going no.
So moving on to our topic now, we're actually doing another edition of our Games That Shaped Us series, where we talk about yeah, where we talk about games from our childhood that had a big impact on us growing up. And so far in the past, we've talked about Tiny Tank,
Fuck
the
yeah.
Lego Star Wars
Fuck
games,
yeah.
Simpsons Hit and Run,
Fuck yeah.
and this time we're going to be talking about another classic from this era, Crash Twinsanity.
Yes.
So, Crash Twinsanity is a very interesting game. It is also a very tragic game when you find out the backstory behind it.
Sorry.
So yeah, Crash Twinsanity is the fifth overall game in the Crash Bandicoots. Well, the fifth overall main series game in the Crash series. It was actually known as Crash 5 in Japan because Japan numbered all of them. And I guess for a little backstory into Crash Twinsanity, so everyone knows the story Crash Bandicoot. It was created by Naughty Dog,
Yes.
and they made
Naughty, naughty.
They made three really awesome platformers on the original PlayStation, plus a kart racer. And then they moved on to other things and left the series behind with its owner, because Crash was a weird situation where it was made by Naughty Dog, it was published by Sony, but the technical owner of the IP was Universal.
Mhm.
So when Naughty Dog basically left to just work with Sony directly, they had to leave Crash behind. A similar thing happened with Spyro and Insomniac Games. So when Crash got left behind, basically that was like one of Universal's big money makers, and they weren't going to let it go. So they hired a bunch of different teams to work on Crash games, and the first of which was a little studio known as Traveler's Tales, who were very well known for some decent licensed games, and they also made Sonic R.
The
Yep.
racing game?
Yeah, with the Tails doll and that fun stuff.
Oh, that creepy. Didn't that become like a creepy pasta?
Yep. It's not a good one, but it became one.
The internet is a place.
More people know it for its Europop soundtrack, which is so unfitting for a racing game.
Is that the Supersonic race?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Living in the city, you have to survive. Yeah.
Please keep
Or
singing. Just sing for
talk
the rest
it out, work about, talk about. That game. I fucking love that soundtrack, but my god, it's so not right for a racing game. Or a game in general. That should have just been a freaking Europop like soundtrack. But yeah, so Traveler's Tales. They had a reputation for some decent games. They also had some pretty not good games like Ras. So their games were usually either decent or shitty, but even their shitty ones were notable for being technically impressive, just not well designed, or despite their technical prowess, the games themselves just weren't really good.
Yes.
So yeah, Traveler's Tales had a iffy history, but at the same time, they weren't the worst possible thing. Plus, the head guy at Universal at the time, Mark Cerny, was still involved, and Mark Cerny nowadays is known as the guy who was the architect for the PS4 and the PS5. Now, Mark Cerny, his vision for the next Crash game was he wanted it to be this open-ended, like exploration-based, like big 3D game. The problem is Universal got cold feet and basically was like, no, just make Crash Bandicoot Warped again, but slightly bigger
Edgier.
with not really even edgier, more just
the edge.
Yeah, but Wrath of Cortex isn't an edgy game, so that joke doesn't work.
Joking.
Yeah, but basically they just made a slightly more prettier and larger Crash Bandicoot Warped. And it was not a bad game, but it was very much kind of a dud compared to, say, like Jak and Daxter, which was Naughty Dog's new game, which was this massive, incredibly impressive like platformer that started its own series. So in the whole interim of this, Mark Cerny leaves to go do other things, and Traveler's Tales is still the developer by this point, and they want to make up for their past mistake. And their next idea is they're going to take that vision that they had for the original game and actually go through with it this time. So Traveler's Tales basically sets up a special division specifically for making Crash games called Traveler's Tales Oxford Studios. Crash Twinsanity would be the only game made by Oxford Studios.
Oh no!
Unfortunately.
Whoa, whoa.
But basically, the team was very gung ho on making a new Crash game that was going to actually move the series forward. And I remember the ads for this game like they were like it was yesterday. Like,
yes.
Do you remember the ads where they actually had Jackass stars Steve-O and Chris Pontius
Yep.
emulating all of the moves you can do in game?
Yep.
See, as a kid, I had no idea who they were because I hadn't seen Jackass yet. But then I rediscovered those ads recently, and I was like, "Holy shit! Like this was a different time." And I remember the trailers being all like hyping up the whole like it was Crash and Cortex teaming up, going through levels, and I was like, I don't know how that's gonna work, but I'm sure it'll be fun. So I didn't actually get this one at launch. I remember getting it like years after it came out on a bargain at like an EB Games or something. Back before EB Games got bought out by GameStop. That shows how long ago this was. But I remember finally playing it because I remember I played it and you were there watching because you were like, "Ooh, new Crash game, want to watch?"
Yes.
You never played Crash games. You just kind of watched.
No, I played one. I played Crash. I think Crash 3.
I'd let you do the Coco levels every now and then.
I got really good at the Coco levels.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and then you gatekeep the rest of it from me. You said, "No, you're not allowed."
Well, no, I let you try.
Just play the girl level.
I let you try once, and you died like 3 minutes in, and then you got mad and rage quit.
You didn't help me at all. You never helped me. You just say, "Do it," and then I'd be like, "I don't know what I'm doing," and then you'd go, "Tough shit," and then I'd get angry.
And then you'd throw the controller against the wall.
Fuck you. I'm about to run upstairs and throw the controller at you right now.
No, you're not.
I'm not doing the voice. Get out.
Anyways, so
no.
Crash Twinsanity inherently like
Crash
when
into a wall.
you do in the game at times.
But yeah.
Inherently as a game, Crash Twinsanity is really fascinating because it's like it legitimately is like an open-ended Crash game. Like there's no more like hallway level design. Now it's basically you kind of like you're in this open setting and you can kind of explore around and do all sorts of different things on this little island area. And I always remember the intro to this game because it is goddamn horrifying. Like Cortex literally kidnaps Coco and then dresses up as her in like drag.
What are you talking about? That's not horrifying. That's amazing.
No, what's horrifying is the fact that Crash buys it and doesn't even question it.
I mean, he pulls it off very well.
But my favorite part too is this game was the introduction of Lex Lang as the voice of Cortex, replacing Clancy Brown. And as much as I love Clancy Brown, Lex Lang like literally steals the show in this game. Like every one of his like lines is fucking hilarious. Like he literally does like a girl voice when he's pretending to be Coco, and he's like, "Crash, come here!" Like he's like, "It's easy." Almost too easy. And this is also where they got rid of his more menacing side and just made him a flat out goofball like villain, like not even really a villain at this point. And the game is interesting because it starts out like kind of like a regular Crash game where you really only play as Crash, only more open ended. But then we get to points where like you'll have to team up with Cortex to get through levels, and like there's like roller brawl levels where you're like basically in a ball rolling down like tubes and stuff.
And a lot of times Cortex is in pain. Cortex suffers throughout this game.
He also does some really weird shit though, like in the roller brawl sections where like you're doing like the rolling part, whenever you stop, they'll start like just beating the shit out of each other, and like occasionally Cortex will just start spanking Crash. Like there was some really weird like subtext in this game. Like one of the adverts for the game was literally Crash and Cortex getting married, which is going to be in the thumbnail for this episode. Like,
Yep, I already saw it.
one of my favorite too is on the back of the box. There's actually a list of all the different moves they can do, and the bottom one just says censored, and that's where like the ESRB logo is. And I'm like, that's funny. That's
That's
actually
just good.
that's pretty funny. Um, so yeah, the game is pretty fun. You go through a bunch of different levels. It's kind of cool because like all the levels all flow together. Like it's not like there's no more hub world. You just kind of seamlessly go from place to place.
Mm.
Um, unfortunately, though, this is where things become a bit apparent that this game was not finished like at all.
Yeah.
And like because there are various points where like the game just kind of glitches out. Like if you accidentally go to a place like where a checkpoint was, uh if you like return to a spot where a checkpoint you previously completed was, the game like kind of forgets that you did like that part and makes you do it again, even though there's nothing to
That was a
collect.
checkpoint.
Yeah, it's it's kind of like it would forget where you were at
Mm.
times. There's a lot of sound effects just flat out missing at times. Like there's
Mm.
like there's like points in the game where it looks like there's supposed to be like an explosion sound effect, but it's just like quiet for no
Just
reason.
nothing happens.
Or if you like, there's also some really weird like checkpoint missing moments where like if you die, like you get sent back like to the start of a level, and it's like fuck. Um, and uh some really weird difficulty spikes as well. Like there's one infamous point in this game that I always remember where the level is you're essentially going through Engine's battleship,
Mhm.
and you get to the end of it, and the engine boss is incredibly pathetic. Like he literally, it's just like you dodge some missiles and hit a button basically,
Yeah.
and then you fall through the battleship and you end up down in the bottom, and there's like this walrus that chases you, and it's a chase sequence. But he is brutal, like ridiculously challenging, like very easy to catch you. And there's no checkpoints from here, by the way.
Oh no.
Um, and then you get to another boss fight where you have to fight Entropy, and literally, if you die, you have to go all the way back to like before the engine boss fight. It's a pain in the butt.
Ugh.
Um, I will say though, like even if it's a pain, the game is still incredibly fun. Like there is some
Mm.
great level design throughout this thing.
And a lot of really good ideas, like just like the tag team character, kind
Oh
of
yeah,
having to do different techniques and stuff in the game.
there's points where you get to play as Cortex as well too, and he's got a
Mm.
completely different play style where like he has like a gun mechanic, and like he doesn't he basically shoots things instead of like does crash things.
Mm.
This was also the introduction of Nina Cortex, uh,
His niece.
his daughter, a niece.
Niece.
I love that joke. So oh yeah, I guess like this is a good time to transition to this game's writing is fucking great.
Oh yeah, it is so, and I feel like that's what makes this game so charming, and
Hmm.
it also is what makes this game like so lovable and wanted back in a remake. We want a remake. Give us the remake.
Apparently, the director of this game actually wants to do it, but Activision is being Activision's like
Ugh,
no.
come on, Activision. Like, I feel like they would make so much freaking money off of it because it's just like it's definitely one of those games where it's a cult classic at this point. Like, if you love it, you love it. Like, the
Yeah.
comedy is. I love some of the lines in the comedy, or just like some of the just jokes, like some of the silent jokes too.
Oh, there. So there's so the writing team for this game was actually it had a lot of like people from like the Ren and Stimpy worked on this
And
game's
it shows.
story. There is just so many moments like in this game where it's like you have like these like expectations, and then it completely subverts you.
Hmm.
Like there's a point where Crystal not Crystal where did Crystal come from? Coco shows up.
Go go.
Oh yeah, poor Coco in this game, by the way.
Yeah, she gets the shit beat out of her, and then she's like also loopy for the rest of the game.
Well, no, she gets like shot with a laser and then like disappears.
Yeah.
Because another case of this game was unfinished. Coco had was apparently a playable character,
What?
and it never happened. It's not in the game.
No.
Which is funny
And
because
hey, we got Nina, his niece.
Well, what's funny is the case actually mentions 4 playable characters, but there's only 3 in the game.
Oh, really? Shit.
Yeah. This is how
That shows how, yeah, I think we're
unfinished.
saying the same thing.
Like, if you go onto the Crash wiki, like, there is entire articles of how much of this, like, game was, like, cut out for time because it had to make a certain deadline.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but another great comedy moment, yeah, going back to Coco is, when she finally returns after her, like, massive hiatus from the beginning of the game to, like, her excuse me, one other major
I'm
appearance.
confused.
Cortex is literally using the crystals to, like, basically do this, like, thing for Endgame, and Coco just shows up and, like, kicks them away, and Cortex just kind of grabs his nothing, but then goes, "My crystals," and it's
My
like you know what he was implying.
Blech.
There's also an entire subplot with, like, all the villains from, like, the main series are, like, trying to find these, like, this, like, treasure that's, like, supposed, even though it was a completely one-off line that had nothing to do with anything in game, and they just thought there was a treasure that Crash was after.
Mm.
And, like, it completely is just, like, this background thing that doesn't even affect anything until the end of the game, where they all, like, meet up and they're like, we finally found the treasure. And then Cortex is like, and by the way, I think he wants his gems back. And it just points over to Spyro out of nowhere. It's like, wait a minute.
What's happening?
Uh, th-
I feel like another thing we definitely need to touch on is the music and how
the,
iconic it is.
the music, the most love it or hate it, like,
Oh
aspect
yeah,
of this game. So this game's soundtrack is 100% a cappella.
yeah,
Completely composed by the a cappella group Spiral Mouth.
yep.
My God, it is
What
so
a name!
it is so catchy. Like, every sound effect in this game is, well, every musical note I should say, is produced by, like, a cappella, like, voice, and it is amazing how they, like, are able to do it. And there's so many different genres too. Like, there's, like, harder songs.
Oh yeah, and I mean, if you've ever seen that, it's very old meme. I'd say it's a meme at this point. A very old
Oh, the
meme.
freaking
But at one point, the dancing stormtrooper,
the
when
old
he would,
the old I bet you can't watch this video without laughing meme, and
yeah,
it's just a stormtrooper pelvic thrusting, but it has the main theme of this game playing in the background.
Yep.
And it's like, it's one of those things where it's not funny at all, but it's more funny, like, just the fact that, like, it exists.
Yeah, like that. It's there.
Also, this game's main villains are very interesting.
Yeah, they're like Cortex's old pet birds.
Yeah, and they got sent away in an experiment to a different dimension and became super smart, and they take Cortex's brain out at one point. Oh, there's also the joke with, like, Crash uses, like, Cortex as, like, a ski. And the whole joke is they're chasing after something, and Cortex is like, "How will we ever catch them?" It's like, "I don't have any way of getting there." And he just kind of ponders on his leaning on this railing, and then Crash just stares at his ass for like 20 minutes, and then kicks him off and uses him as a sled. But then
That
what's great is they repeat this joke later in the game, and it's the exact, that's where the famous, like, "my daughter niece" joke comes from. That one's great. Also, the when Cortex goes through the lingerie store that's for some reason on his mountain, and he, like, goes through and he's like, "Sorry, ladies." There's a lot of shit in that scene that's like, this was in a kid's game. Like, there's a point where he goes through the thing and he's like, "Are those real?"
yeah. It's definitely where you can see the whole Ren and Stimpy coming
Yeah.
in, like the art writers from there.
And then you hear some, like, grouchy old lady yelling, and Cortex just goes, "Mother."
Mother.
It's like such a weird, like, scene
Oh,
entirely in this game.
this game is just like it really does make you wonder like what it could have been if the game and like what it was really supposed to be came out.
Mm.
Um
Like, apparently there was supposed to be, like, multiple um there was supposed to be like multiple different worlds they were supposed to go, like universes, because the whole plot is the end of the game they go to a parallel universe called Twinsanity Island, which is a
Mm.
play on the whole Insanity Island where the game takes place.
Yep.
And there's there basically it's a negative world, but apparently there was supposed to be multiple universes they were going to go uh to the point where they actually lampshade this at the end of the game, where they make a joke saying, well, we were supposed to go to multiple universes but we ran out of funding or something.
Which happened.
This game makes fun of itself a lot too. Like there's our favorite scene of like the joke we always make about the fish is a scene where Cortex is arguing with a bunch of penguins who I guess technically own his island, the island where his fortress is. And he's basically like up there, like being like, I'm sorry, times are tough. Like, we haven't really had a lot of funding. And he makes a joke like, Wrath of Cortex didn't do nearly as well as we'd hoped. Which is a great joke. And then he does the classic, he pulls out a fish, he's just like, fish? And then he shoots all the penguins, which was pretty funny. There's also a fart joke in this that some people get really butthurt about, and I think it's funny personally.
Oh my god, it's one fart joke. Calm down, people.
Oh, like the scene where like he gets stuck in a pipe because you have to use Cortex in a pipe to solve ball pushing
And
puzzles.
then he's like,
Well, no,
cry.
my favorite part about that is like he's like, the smartest genius in the world stuck in a pipe. How can this get any worse? And then he lets out this massive squeaker of a fart, and the cry that Lex Lang does is the funniest fucking thing. It's like, I don't care if it's a juvenile joke. It's fucking funny. Get over it.
Like it's. I feel like too. The reason people don't like fart jokes is it got very oversaturated at one point, like where it was everything had a fart joke and multiple fart jokes, and it wasn't like a one and done. Like that was funny and we moved on. So that's what you gotta remember. It was one fart joke, and it was a comedic and actually funny one where he gets stuck in a pipe, and the only thing to make it worse is he's stuck in his own fart smell.
There's another great joke actually in that same level, because this is the level where they go to Madame Amberley's school, and they have to take Cortex's blimp to get there. And one of my favorite jokes is he tells Crash to tie off the blimp while I go look for my daughter. And like later in the level, like there's a point where you're basically introduced to how to play as Nina, and the one of the gimmicks is the blimp is flying away because Crash tied it to a school bus. And Cortex is like literally like, tie it to something secure, I said. To the point where there's points in the level where the school bus is chasing after you, flailing around, and it's like this game is really smartly written, like despite being unfinished.
And that's what makes you want a remake so badly, because there's
just to
so
see
much content.
Well, I mean, to fix a lot of the problems that the game has, but also to see all the stuff that was unfinished. Like this game is so witty too. Like there's a point where like Cortex is trying to win over Crash to help him, and he's all like see, I've changed. Like I love this island, like the nature, the like the locals, and it's a bunch of the actual a lot of fan service in this game too, because a lot of the characters from like Crash 1 appear. But there's a point where he's like, even the local bumblebee, and then he just gets engulfed by like a swarm of bees. And the whole gimmick of the level is you have to basically get through this like obstacle course and like basically guide Cortex through without him getting killed. And during the thing, like he'll like at one point like a beehive lands on his head, and then he starts getting chased by a bear because of the honey. Like it's just like a really entertaining like just whole like sequence of events. Like everything about this game is so good. That it other than
better.
It did. Honestly, its weakest aspect to me is its unstable nature.
How short it is.
It's weird because it's both long and short at the same time. Also, it's weird difficulty spikes, which I feel like they didn't have enough time to balance it.
Yeah.
And I guess the biggest complaint is just the missing content. Like if it could have been so much more.
Yeah. And it's definitely it's one of those things where it's not unnoticeable. Like it's very noticeable that the game was not finished and there's a lot of stuff missing.
Mm.
And I feel like that's like what adds to people really wanting a remake is because there's so much that they know isn't there because it's so obvious it's not there. So you like want it so badly, you know.
What's sad too is just talking about the future after this game came out. Basically, like because like Crash has gone through so many hands over the years, like from
Mm,
like Universal to Vivendi all the way up to like Sierra Games, which I think was still Vivendi, to Activision. Like they like to have changed hands so many times. Like
mm,
Traveler's Tales never got a chance to make another Crash game. The Oxford
oh,
studio was closed, and Traveler's Tales does nothing but make Lego games now.
oh,
Which I mean
well.
isn't a bad thing. I mean they made
I
Lego
mean, yeah,
Star
they
Wars.
make money. They're not as funny though without the pantomiming.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, the new Lego Star Wars sucked. Like I literally hated everything
I
about that game.
hated them.
I played it with Matt. Shout out to Matt, by the way. At
Hi, Matt.
when I was visiting him and Cindy for like a weekend, and literally like we tried playing it, and I couldn't figure out what to do. It was so confusing and just not fun.
Oh,
Um,
and no pantomiming.
yeah, they talk now, which is weird.
Mm.
But yes, but I guess going off to Crash though, while your AC goes off in the background.
I'm sorry. I can't control that. I'd rather be cold
Yeah,
than
but yeah.
warm.
So following Twinsanity, like Crash got shipped over to Radical Entertainment, and they made Tag Team Racing, which is this weird hybrid racing slash
Open.
platformer.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's only just okay at both, but not really great at either.
Mm,
Where like the whole platforming sections are fine enough, but they're not like the greatest stuff ever. And then the kart racing is completely trivial.
yeah.
Like the tracks are all very generic, and like it's so easy to break the game.
Yeah.
And then
Well, and
follow
like this was kind of like their downward hill because after tag team racing, wasn't it like the weird what's it called?
Crash of the Titans,
Yeah, the Titan games,
which are okay beat 'em ups, but like
not Crash.
no, like so
Like
it's
it could have not been a Crash game, and you
yeah,
wouldn't have
they
noticed.
they changed all the designs and everything was just weird.
Yeah.
I will say Crash of the Titans not really great. Crash Mind Over Mutant though, not gonna lie, that game's actually a lot better than people give it credit for.
And it has fun cutscenes.
It does. There's a South Park cutscene, and it's great. But that game actually has platforming in it. It's actually not a bad game aside from the weird designs.
Mm.
And then Crash, of course, had his renaissance with the Insane trilogy, bringing him back, and then
Yep.
even got a Crash 4 out of it, which is funny because Wrath of Cortex was technically Crash 4, but
Mm.
they kind of lampshade it where they're like, oh yeah, those other games, they never happened. Right. What other games?
Twin. Inst. I forgot how to speak.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what? No.
Unfortunately, though, the future of Crash doesn't look very great because, like, other than like this weird party fighting thing that's coming out,
Oh yeah, I saw that when I was like looking up just stuff for this episode.
I mean, it looks okay, but it's not something I'm not super desired to play. The biggest issue I see right now is unfortunately Activision is going through this massive kerfuffle right now because Microsoft has been trying to buy Activision for like a year now, but it's like it's constantly getting blocked. I don't know. It's just inevitable. Just let them get purchased at this point so we can be over this shit. I'm
We
tired
can
of hearing
get
about it.
Crash Twinsanity remake. No.
I doubt it because Activision,
Hey.
like Activision's new favorite pastime is taking any successful studio they have and forcing them to work forever on Call of Duty.
No.
No, they just force them to work on Call of Duty for eternity.
Why?
Because
You don't even need to work hard on Call of Duty. It's not that
because
complicated of a
they
game.
need like 12 developers working on it constantly.
My baby.
Your
Sorry, she
cat.
just appeared. Yeah, she just appeared. I saw her out
Yeah.
of the corner of my eye. I love
Yeah.
her.
So unfortunately, I don't think a new real Crash game is going to happen anytime soon,
No,
nor a Twinsanity remake, which we can hope
I
for.
can
But
still dream.
I know. Thankfully, finding copies of Twinsanity is not super expensive because this only
Yeah.
came out on.
Well, and you never know. Maybe a fan. I mean, you see fan games come out and do crazy things, so maybe a
Yeah,
fan will try and remaster it or
but
something and
you see
get
a
the
lot.
hype back.
Unfortunately, you see a lot of fans do stuff like this, and unless they're Sega, a lot of the times the companies will immediately cease and desist it. So
Oh, womp, womp, womp.
yeah. Thankfully, though, Crash Twinsanity it was only released on, ironically, PS2 and Xbox. It never got a GameCube release, which I found interesting. Um, both copies are very cheap to find. They're not super expensive. The
Yeah,
Xbox version I'd recommend because it just looks better graphically.
yeah,
Um, even though I still think Crash plays best on a PlayStation controller, that's just a personal preference.
understandable.
But yeah, I don't really have anything else to add on this one. This was kind of a very straightforward one.
Oh, I have something. It's off topic, but I feel like it would interest you. Did you hear about the Titanic submarine that disappeared?
Yeah, and apparently it's like becoming this big controversial thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I wasn't sure because I know you're interested. You used to be very interested in boats at one time, so I was asking if you heard about it. Because I saw it on Twitter today, and I was like, that sucks to pay, like, for a house to go on a submarine and then just disappear. They're dead. There's no way they're coming back. I'm sorry.
Well, apparently the company that owned it knew about it like hours before it was announced, and they just didn't say anything. They
Wait,
also
they didn't
apparently
like rescue, like go and rescue them or anything?
apparently from what the Coast Guard is saying, they can't even get to them because they're too deep.
Oh, I am sorry, but like there is no way in hell I would ever pay for anything like that. No, thank you.
Apparently, too,
You're
it's coming.
not meant to go down there. I'm
No,
sorry. The bottom of the ocean, that's like one of the things that freaks me out. I don't want to know about it. It's fine. It can do what it wants to do, and I don't want to see it.
yeah, apparently, like, apparently too, the submarine had like questionable like its most recent inspection came back with some questionable results, and
And
the
they were like,
company
money.
yeah the company knew about it and uh sent it out anyways.
Jesus.
You know what the kicker is, though? Apparently the owner of said company was on it too, so even if they tried to sue, who are they gonna sue?
Oh, true. Yeah.
So it's kind of like I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, that's been all over Reddit for like a week now.
Yeah. I saw that today, and I was like, well, for me, my immediate response was never in my life would I do that because the bottom of the ocean is just like I don't. It's one of the. I know it scares other people too, but it's one of those things. It's like an irrational fear for me. I just don't like it. I think Phil's constant stream of boat videos growing up kind of scarred me mentally, and I just don't like it now. It freaks
I
me
don't
out.
I don't need to see what Titanic looks like in person. They just had these wonderful 3D scans of the wreck that
Oh,
came out that look fucking amazing, and like that's
yeah.
good enough for me.
Yeah, I was like, I don't need to go down there because I'm sorry, we're not meant to go down there. There's
That's technically messing with a gravesite too, and I really don't like that very much. So,
yeah. I didn't
um,
even think about it in that term, but
well,
I
there's a
thought it would just be interesting to touch
yeah.
on because you hadn't brought it up to me, and then I thought about it. And I was like, huh, I wonder if he knows
I
about it.
hadn't brought it
So,
up because I didn't think you'd care, but
well, no,
that
I find it I mean, I think it's very interesting. I'm interested in seeing the outcome of it, like what's going to happen. Because I'm sorry, but like R.I.P. But those people are not coming back.
no,
Like if
if
you're
they can
missing,
even.
yeah,
Apparently, it's so deep too that they don't even know if they'd be able to find it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It gives me the like everything about that, like everything I read about it, it just gave me the heebie-jeebies of like, no, I would never do that in my life. No,
Yeah,
thank you.
we're not all Dr. Robert Ballard. We're not professionals, so
Even
yeah.
then, save it for the robots.
Well, I
The
mean,
robots
especially at
that
this
go
point.
missing. Like even robots go missing at this point. Like no.
Yeah. And that was the end of the Titanic podcast.
It was short-lived, but I thought it was fun to bring up. You didn't comment on the name I chose for Discord today.
It's beans, because
well, originally my plan was I was trying to write out something much longer, and then not Discord,
Zencaster.
Zencaster yelled at me and said it's too long, but it was supposed to say beans, the magical fruit, they make you toot toot.
Lovely.
But it didn't work, so I just put beans instead.
Yep. All right. Well, this was a short one. We haven't had a short one in a while. A lot of our episodes have been reaching 2 hours lately, so
it's nice to change the pace a little bit.
Yeah, and it's fun to talk about a humorous game for once, not something.
Yeah, and the Titanic.
Yeah, that was a weird.
I don't sound like that stupid guy. I don't know what his name is.
And on that note, guys, once again, thank you for joining us on the Gaming and Collecting Podcast. The Gaming and Collecting Podcast can be found on all your major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify. We are made on Spotify for podcasters, and you can follow us on all of our links via Linktree/The Games, and you can join our personal Discord server where we post a lot of memes, cursed images, talk gaming and anime, all sorts of fun stuff. Drop in and say hello. We're always active on there. And with that, guys, we will see you all next time.
And remember, the ocean is not for you. Don't go in it. It's scary. I don't like it. That is all.
She is the cream of the crop.
No!